All right, everybody. So this is the Pointe shoe video about sewing ribbons and elastics. Just one version of doing it. So I'm showing you this ribbon here. It has two smooth sides, so you don't have to be too concerned. This is the block ribbon. But if it has the satin ribbon with one side that's matte, make sure you sew the shiny side toward the outside. And here I'm just showing you a way to fold down the heel and kind of guesstimate where ribbons should go. These are not my shoes, so this is just how I sew people's ribbons on if I'm doing them for them. Ribbons aren't as important to get perfectly, correct on the exact same spot. The elastics, though, you definitely have to measure and make sure that they're not going to be too tight, but that they're tight enough to keep the shoe on. There, I was just making sure that all the marks were even. And here I'm showing you my threading my needle. The most important part about this is that I use nylon thread and a hand quilting needle. Nylon thread is very strong and it also melts, so when you burn the end of it, you can smush it down and make it flat so it doesn't rub up against you. Now here I am making a very small little pocket. I fold it over once and then twice, and then I just do a quick little whip stitch around to keep it nice and folded down, and it makes it a stronger point of contact from the ribbon to the shoe. And there it is. I'm showing you, remember, you want to do the shiny side facing away, so facing out toward the audience. And then I am just lining it up and doing a quick little whip stitch around, being very careful not to go through the satin. So there's two layers of material. I'm only going through that inner lining, which is canvas in the shoe. So I'm showing you there. I went down, over, and up, and then I did it again, down, over, and up. Now I'm showing you I'm going to go across the bottom stitching on the drawstring casing. So I'm not going on top, I'm doing a back stitch. If you do a back stitch, you don't have to go across twice. You don't have to go across and then back. So a back stitch is when you're going to go you're going to do a stitch moving forward and then half a stitch back. And then a full stitch forward and then half a stitch back. So in essence, you're just doing, see right here, half step or full forward, half stitch back. You're just doing kind of a stronger stitch because you have more contact with the material. And if you just want to do a regular running stitch where you just continually move forward in and out, then you would go across and then back. And there I am. All done. And then I'm going to show you here how to tie a knot so it's flush against the shoe. So you do a stitch right where your thread was coming out, and then you take your attached thread once, twice around the needle, hold that tight, and then you're going to pull it through, and there you are. Make sure it's nice and tight. A little trimmy trim. And like I said, since it's nylon thread, you can melt it. It doesn't really burn. It will catch, but you can melt it and then wait for a second and then smush it down and it will be flat. Now, I was saying there you can stop at that point if you want, or you can be a little bougie and you can do some long whip stitches through the bottom of the drawstring casing where we were doing our back stitch, and then up over, not through, over the drawstring casing through the satin ribbon. This is going to keep that ribbon nice and tight close to that drawstring casing. I'm just telling you, go around all the way back and you could be done there, or you could do a few stitches to get you back, and then I'll make it nice and strong. And then I'm going to tie another knot. This isn't the only way you can attach your ribbon to the drawstring casing, but this is just the way I'm showing it in this video. A little trim, a A little burn. And a little smush. Yay! I do a slight forward lean. You do not have to, but you do need to do all 4 ribbons. So sometimes I sew them straight up. Sometimes I do them with a little forward lean. It just kind of depends. And here I'm just making sure that they look nice and even. And of course I make sure that I mark them evenly before I start sewing. And I'm kind of checking as I go. So I'm showing you here. I have them pre-marked as right and left for the elastics. I measured these on she's not my student, I guess she was my client, Peyton. She is a past student of mine. Measured her feet with the elastics before I cut and sewed them. I had them marked with the angles in which I want to sew the elastics on. This is just a single loop. Here I'm just trimming that excess corner and then remelting the edge of that elastic so it's just kind of less to sew around. Now I'm just kind of fiddling with it, making sure it's in the right spot. It can be kind of tricky to get your elastic to lay and stay in the same spot while you're sewing. If you want, you can pin it with a straight pin. I just find that it kind of gets in my way. So, and I've been sewing point shoes for a really long time. So you can stop there. I went down and around once and twice. I'm saying you can stop there, or you can attach it to the drawstring casing. Now I'm going to show you a different way to attach to drawstring casing with the elastic. So you can do this way with the ribbon, but I wouldn't recommend doing the long whip stitches with the elastic. It's not going to be as effective. You can pop your thread that way. So for this way, I'm gonna, see, I'm telling you here, don't do the long whip stitches with elastic. So I'm gonna show you how to go in a running stitch across the very tippy top. So right here, I'm gonna sew up the side of the elastic on top of the drawstring casing, and I'm very careful not to catch the drawstring. If these were my shoes, I would tighten and tie my drawstrings prior to doing this, just in case I did end up catching the drawstring. Then it wouldn't be as big deal. But because these are not tied to the dancer's foot, I'm being very careful. So I'm showing you not catching the drawstring in there, and I'm checking as I go. Then once I get up the side, then I'm going to go to the front and I'm going to catch just the very, very tippy top of that drawstring casing and go straight through the elastic. And then I'm going to come through the back out to the front. And again, just the very tippy top. You could do this as a back stitch also. I'm just doing this one as a running stitch. And then of course that means I'm going to have to go back through again with my running stitch. So I have to do 2 passes with a running stitch. And I'm also sewing the elastics on the inside. The studio prefers their dancers to wear them on the inside. They also typically, I believe, prefer crisscross elastics, but this dancer didn't seem to need it, in my opinion. And then I'm just showing you I have them lined up and that they're nice and even. Yay. Then I'm just showing you the outer side. I didn't catch the satin, and I don't see any stitches on the outside, and making sure that my drawstrings did not get caught. And then one more thing, I'm going to show you how to cut the drawstrings. So you're going to pull them, but not too tight, and then do a double knot. And then you're going to trim them up there. Do not trim them all the way down there. They will not tuck in. You need some length so you can tuck them in. And these are the 2 shoes that I did. Yay!